In the rugged mountains of Lebanon, where ancient cedars whisper secrets of centuries past, a humble man named Charbel Makhlouf lived a life that would echo through eternity. Born into simplicity yet called to profound holiness, Charbel's journey was marked by solitude, prayer, and miracles that defied the ordinary. This is the story of a monk who chose the quiet desert over the bustle of the world, whose faith burned like a flame against the darkness of doubt and suffering. A man whose sanctity would inspire millions, crossing borders and generations. Join us as we uncover the life, trials, and divine wonders of Saint Charbel Makhlouf, the priest, the hermit, the miracle worker, a story of epic faith and timeless adventure. Chapter 1. Early Life and Calling. In a small, peaceful village nestled high among the majestic mountains of Lebanon, a child was born in 1828 who would come to change the course of spiritual history. Youssef Antoine Makhlouf entered the world into a humble, devout Maronite Christian family. Life in this tight-knit community was simple and slow, shaped by the rhythm of seasons, the call to prayer, and the traditions passed down through generations. Yet, even in this quiet setting, from a very young age, Youssef stood out, not for grand achievements or worldly ambitions, but for something far deeper, an extraordinary humility, a heart full of kindness, and a profound love for prayer. While other children played noisily in the fields or helped with daily chores, Youssef was often found wandering alone along the hillside surrounding his village. There was a mysterious pull within him, a gentle but insistent whisper drawing him toward the silence of the wilderness. He found in nature a sanctuary where his soul could breathe, a place untouched by the distractions of everyday life. The village church, too, was a sacred refuge for him. The flickering candlelight and ancient stones holding stories of faith and hope. There, with the scriptures as his constant companion, the seeds of a spiritual destiny began to take root deep within his heart. Youssef's childhood was marked by quiet moments of reflection and a growing awareness of a call greater than himself. This inner voice beckoned him to dedicate his life not to comfort or worldly success, but to a path of holiness and sacrifice. It was a path that required courage, a willingness to leave behind the familiar warmth of family and village life. At the age of 23, answering that sacred call, Youssef made a life-changing decision. He entered the Lebanese Maronite Order of Saint Anthony, a monastic community dedicated to prayer, poverty, and service. Upon taking his vows, he adopted the name Charbel, in honor of an ancient martyr celebrated for his unwavering devotion and sacrifice. This new identity marked the beginning of a profound transformation. From this moment on, Charbel's life belonged wholly to God. His days were soon filled with the rigorous disciplines of monastic life. Long hours of prayer, fasting that tested his physical endurance, and humble manual work that kept his hands busy and his spirit grounded. But Charbel's faith was no gentle solace. It was a fierce, ongoing adventure, a relentless battle against temptations, distractions, and the endless noise of the world. Each day was a quest, a journey to unite his soul more perfectly with the divine presence that called him forward. Though he lived in relative obscurity, away from public attention and worldly acclaim, Charbel's heart blazed with holy purpose. The road ahead promised to be long and difficult, filled with trials that would test his resolve beyond imagination. Yet, with unwavering courage and profound trust, he embraced his calling, ready to face whatever lay ahead. This was the beginning of a spiritual epic, a story of sacrifice, solitude, and the pursuit of divine union that would inspire generations to come. Chapter 2. The Monastic Life and Solitude. After several years of humble and faithful service within the walls of his monastery, Charbel felt a stirring deep within his soul, a calling that reached beyond the familiar routines and quiet rhythms of communal monastic life. It was a call to journey even further away from the distractions of the world, to seek God not just in the company of others, but in the profound silence of solitude. In the early 1870s, Charbel embraced this inner summons and chose the path of the hermit, retreating into a small, austere cell carved near the monastery of Saint Marin in Anaya, Lebanon. This decision was not born of loneliness or despair, but of deliberate purpose. Charbel's heart yearned to encounter God in the purest, most intimate way possible, through unceasing prayer, strict fasting, and relentless contemplation. His days became a sacred rhythm, a symphony of worship and devotion, broken only by brief moments of rest and simple manual labor. In this solitude, Charbel found a freedom unlike any other, a space where worldly noise faded away and only the voice of the divine remained. Inside his tiny cell, Charbel lived with the barest essentials: a humble bed carved from wood, a small cross that hung on the wall as a constant reminder of sacrifice, and the holy scriptures that fed and inspired his soul. His body endured the harsh realities of this austere existence, the cold nights, meager food, and physical discomfort, but his spirit soared to heights untouched by earthly pain. The wild and rugged wilderness surrounding him was both sanctuary and battleground, a sacred arena where he wrestled with temptations, conquered doubt, and deepened his union with God. Despite his complete seclusion, whispers of Charbel's holiness began to ripple through the nearby villages. People spoke in hushed tones of the silent monk whose prayers brought healing to the sick, peace to troubled hearts, and a mysterious light that seemed to shine from within. Pilgrims journeyed to the monastery, seeking the blessing of a man who appeared to live beyond the ordinary world. Yet Charbel himself sought no fame or recognition. His only desire was to serve God with a pure and undivided heart, hidden from the eyes of the world. This life of solitude was no retreat from reality. It was a fierce and epic adventure, an inner pilgrimage into the depths of faith. Each day tested his endurance, humility, and love, transforming ordinary moments into battles of the spirit. Every breath was a prayer, every step a movement closer to divine union. In the silence, Charbel found strength, purpose, and a radiant peace that would forever mark his life and legacy. Chapter 3: Miracles and Healing. Though Saint Charbel lived a life of profound silence and solitude, hidden away in his small cell, the power of his prayers and the depth of his holiness resonated far beyond the monastery's walls. Word began to spread throughout Lebanon and beyond, whispers growing louder of miraculous healings and divine interventions that defied all natural explanation. These stories, carried from village to village, kindled hope and faith in the hearts of many who suffered in body and spirit. One of the most extraordinary and well-known tales tells of a man crippled by a debilitating illness that had plagued him for years. Desperate, and with little left to hope for, he touched a cloth that had once been near Charbel's tomb. In a moment that seemed to transcend time, he felt strength return to his limbs. His legs, once weak and lifeless, were suddenly healed. This miraculous recovery was just one among many that became a shining beacon of hope for the sick and the suffering. Soon, countless pilgrims from near and far journeyed to Charbel's resting place, seeking the comfort of his intercession and the healing power of his prayers. But Charbel's gifts were not limited to physical healing alone. Many who came with troubled hearts and restless spirits testified to the peace, comfort, and spiritual renewal they experienced after praying to him or receiving his blessing. Those in despair found their darkness lifted. Those burdened by fear discovered a profound sense of God's abiding love. It was said that his very presence, even in relics or memories, could dispel shadows and uplift the soul, offering a taste of heaven's light on earth. After Charbel's death in 1898, these miraculous signs did not cease. Years later, when his tomb was opened as part of the process towards sainthood, the monks and faithful discovered something astonishing. His body was found incorrupt, preserved by a divine grace that defied natural decay. This incorruption was seen as a powerful, undeniable sign of his sanctity. Pilgrims who touched his relics continued to report healings, comfort, and renewed faith. These wonders gave momentum to the growing movement to recognize Charbel officially as a saint, a humble monk whose life had become a bridge between heaven and earth. Yet, throughout all these miracles and testimonies, Charbel himself had never sought glory or recognition. His life remained a quiet testament to humble service, unwavering faith, and total surrender to God's will. The miracles that followed were not feats of power for power's sake. They were reflections of the deep, sacred connection Charbel had forged with the divine, a connection born of prayer, sacrifice, and unshakable love. His story reminds us that holiness is not about fame, but about the transformative power of a soul wholly dedicated to God. Chapter 4: Canonization and Legacy. Years after the peaceful passing of Saint Charbel Makhlouf in 1898, the remarkable legacy he left behind only grew stronger and more vibrant. Stories of his miracles, his profound humility, and his unwavering faith began to travel far beyond the rugged mountains of Lebanon. These tales reached the hearts and minds of believers around the globe, touching souls with the power of his silent devotion. It was clear that this humble monk, who had lived his life hidden away in prayer and sacrifice, had become a beacon of holiness whose influence was impossible to ignore. As the years passed, the Catholic Church began to formally recognize the deep sanctity of Charbel's life. In 1927, nearly 3 decades after his death, Pope Pius XI officially canonized Charbel Makhlouf, declaring him a saint of the Universal Catholic Church. This momentous event was not only a profound honor to the memory of a simple monk, but also a powerful acknowledgement of Charbel's extraordinary connection to God. His canonization celebrated his role as a steadfast intercessor, someone who, through prayer, could reach across the veil of the earthly realm and bring comfort, healing, and hope to the faithful. Saint Charbel's influence transcended borders, cultures, and generations. Monasteries and shrines dedicated to his memory began to spring up across the world, drawing pilgrims from diverse backgrounds and countries. Yet nowhere is his presence felt more deeply than in Lebanon itself, where countless faithful journey to the monastery of Saint Maron in Anaya. There, in the quiet shadows of the mountains, they come to seek his prayers, to find healing, and to connect with the spirit of the saint whose life embodied the true essence of devotion and sacrifice. His story serves as a timeless reminder of the power found in solitude and prayer, especially in a world that often feels loud, chaotic, and distracted. Charbel demonstrated that true strength does not come from wealth, fame, or power, but from a heart quietly united with God. His life is an epic adventure of spiritual courage and perseverance, a call to all who yearn for a deeper, more intimate relationship with the divine. Today, Saint Charbel Makhlouf remains a shining symbol of unwavering faith, miraculous healing, and the transformative power of prayer. His journey invites each of us to step beyond ourselves, to discover the sacred within the silence, and to believe that even the humblest soul, when wholly dedicated to God, can change the world. His legacy continues to inspire, reminding us that holiness is not measured by grand gestures, but by the quiet strength of a faithful heart. Thank you for joining us on this inspiring journey through the life and legacy of Saint Charbel Makhlouf. His story of faith, solitude, and miraculous grace reminds us that true holiness is born from humble hearts and unwavering devotion. May his example inspire you to seek peace, courage, and a deeper connection with the divine in your own life. Until next time, may you walk in light and faith.